Hello, and welcome to State Control Britain on a sunny, balmy 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And I've got with me Jonathan Griffiths, better known as the professional bodybuilder, Carnivore Muscle. Hi, Jonathan.
How's it going? Hi, Stephen. Thanks for having me on today. First of all, it's always great to chat with you and share ideas and things. Today, I guess we're going to be outlining what I did, how I did it, my sort of unique approaches maybe, and hopefully inspire some people along the way as well. So that's my goal and intention for today.
Well, exactly that. And for people that don't know, because some people are looking on my channel and maybe don't know what's happened, you could just sort of explain your situation and what you've recently achieved.
Sure, yeah. So quite a few years back, I had a spinal fusion surgery, and that left me with a condition called CRPS, which is a pain condition. Sort of spell it out, it's complex regional pain syndrome. So it's a multifaceted, I would say disease, but it's not infectious condition. That means that you struggle a lot with things related to pain, fatigue, you get very weird symptoms throughout your body. And to be honest, it's not something which gets put into remission. It's not like having diabetes where you stop eating sugar, carbs. It's not like Hashimoto's where you might follow a more stringent diet, improve intestinal permeability, things like that. It's something which is so multifaceted across the board in terms of like psychological, physical, biological, biochemical processes that happen within the body. Unfortunately, I've not been able to put it in remission, but I've been able to use a lot of different strategies, techniques, use information that people like, Coach Stephen Thomas here have shared out online to try and just improve my outcomes as best as I can. And what basically I did this weekend that we just passed is I won my professional card for bodybuilding, which is behind me. So this is the actual card. I'm too stingy to actually print one of these out myself, and it is real. And I can show you some medals.
Oh, yes,
and a
please.
Big trophy. They are really big and heavy. So I might not be able to fit it in the frame. I won't be able to fit it in the frame. But this thing is like 2 foot tall.
Oh, it really is massive, isn't it? Wow.
It is big.
That doesn't come across in the photo. Wow, that is huge.
You can't really tell it in the photo, but it is, it's as high as my arm is right now.
Wow.
It's on my abdomen, so like resting. Yeah, the trophies get bigger the better you get, apparently. So I'm going to hope to get a lot more metal work. And so that was my pro card winning title. That was the Mr. Universe which was held in Wales in Cardiff Bay recently. This is my littler trophy. I wanted the challenge. I didn't want to just compete in the disability category. I wanted to do other things as well, just to show people what can actually be achieved still in spite of disabilities. And this one is essentially just, it's a second place trophy for bodybuilding in a classic physique division. And I would have won that if the guy was actually heighted in. That beat me. So I could be walking away with, apparently can't stack them, but 2 pro cards had it been official. But it's water off the duck's back, really. I came there, achieved and conquered what I wanted to. And it's good to beat some people or competitors that weren't or aren't as disadvantaged I am in that kind of regard. So yeah, a lot of my condition and pain is based around my spine and my hips. But I still managed to bring very good conditioning, decent-ish posing routine, and just compete to the best of my ability. So that's basically what happened this weekend.
Brilliant. And someone's shown their appreciation. Juliet there with $4.99 in dollars. Strength, both inner and outer. Determination and resilience are 3 words that describe you well. You are an inspiration. That's good, isn't it?
She's sweet. She's one of the most lovely people I've ever met in the whole world. So if anyone actually is interested in, I also live with chronic fatigue and autism. I have some content that, but Juliet does specialize a bit on carnivore autism content. So I suggest people give her a follow if they want that sort of thing to look into and get a different perspective as well.
Do you feel that the autism has helped you in any way, or do you feel it's neutral, or do you think it's a setback?
I would honestly say it's a bit of both. Difficult in that if I go to the gym or travel to the gym, I've got to deal with the sensory overload. So things for me, input-wise, are much more tiring than they would be for other people. I get socially burnt out very easily. Bright lights, temperature changes, they can really impact my mood and how I feel. But on the flip side, a lot of autistic people tend to drive a lot of their inner strength and determination through their passions. I'd actually argue a lot of autistic people out there, not so much myself maybe, but they have a great deal of charisma. The charisma is defined as the ability to inspire others through your own passions. And I know lots of inspiring autistic people out there. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And I think having a structured routine, it makes it actually easier for me. Also, following a carnivore diet makes it much easier for me to get in shape. So basically, I've simplified my life to the point where I eat these foods when I'm in a off season or not in a contest prep phase. I'm eating the same foods, so I don't have the same food noise that other people have when they compete. And on stage, I'm always the most energetic, oddly enough, and I don't have issues with sweating or heavy breathing so much through my chest while I'm posing. But a lot of that is due to my routine. So, for example, might not be applicable in terms of most conversations that Stephen will have on here, but in bodybuilding, posing is the hardest part because you're actually on stage with very bright lights. These bright lights can make you sweat and feel really hot. But I actually do all my training in terms of the posing element through posing in the hot shower. So when I'm hot, I'm doing my posing then. So when I'm actually on the stage with these lights, it's not nearly as hot as how I usually practice my posing. But so there's lots of little fine tunes and hacks you can bring along the way. But you just got to be a bit more inventive than other people and just try and have new ideas, try new things. And it's a constant experiment. I'm not coming on here and saying I know it all and I found all the answers, but in terms of achieving what I wanted to achieve and getting the job done, I can certainly say I have done exactly that.
Definitely. And very inspirational. And for people with chronic pain, or who've had an injury or whatever, you're quite an inspiration because I've known you enough time now to know that you are living in pain, but you still get it done. You still get to the gym, you still train. So keeping it really simple, how are you training when you're in pain? What do you do? Do you modify every exercise or do you work through it? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I realized quite early on with this condition, there's a massive payback if you go over that threshold of training. So, for example, if someone out there might be playing football, should I go in for that side tackle or not? Should I, playing rugby, should I get to the ground, and go for someone at a slight angle that make my knee dislocate? If it is basketball, how far do I extend my arm? Do I do that sort of trick shot sort of thing? So there's always little comparisons you have to make. So the same thing applies to bodybuilding and training. So you've got to try and find a way to maximize the intensity, so you get the stimulus to the muscle to adapt to get bigger and stronger. But also at the same time being as safe as possible, so you have the longevity to continue to build muscle. So I'm often dumbfounded sometimes when I just see some comments online from people like, how do I do this? What's the best way to do this? But they don't look at the bigger picture. If you're trying to work out what the exact perfect program is in a bodybuilding phase to build muscle, but you're not looking at your technique and strategy when you go into the gym, and your mindset going into the gym at that point, you're leaving most of it on the table. Stephen here, me myself, we can formulate the perfect plan for someone to follow. The right macros, the right foods, right nutrients to fulfill certain gaps and manage different health markers that we have. But if the person cannot achieve that reliably, repeatably, sustainably, it means nothing. So a lot of the plans we probably make are perhaps not 100% in terms of giving a robot an instruction, like a directive, but they're 90%, but they allow that person to stick to 90%, 100% of the time. I think that's where the key is. And building muscle, as we know, it's not let's bulk up for 6 weeks thing. You know, if I gave Stephen the best plan, I know he knows how to train already, but he's not looking at it from a long format kind of approach, then he's going to hit a wall fast. So that means you've got to sort of assess, okay, how much kind of reads we gain in terms of muscle mass over each given week or month period. 1, 2, how are you going to measure it? And 3, what's your cutoff point, and what are you going to do to stop yourself continuing that mass gaining, muscle building phase if your health markers are trashed, if your digestion's not great? You have to have a specific cutoff point. So it means you've got subjective markers, when you're going to start, when you're going to finish, what you need to achieve in that time. And you have to have a plan B at all times as well. So, I mean, I just listened to a podcast from a lady who also has CRPS, and she was doing I imagine it was like a cycle across Europe, something all around the world, something incredible, you know. But she had a team around her to assess, okay, she needs this much sleep this day. Okay, we can give her a bit more food this day. How's her digestion? Because when you're doing these things in the rigors of contest prep, you've got low energy, low body fat, you've got to have an eye to sort of assess, okay, what we're doing is going to yield the end result. So it's important to have a team as well. And in regards to my actual training, because I know a lot of people want to know, what is the program? What is the sets and reps? I don't count reps, guys. I haven't counted reps for about 2 years. I could tell you how many reps I do, but that isn't the metric I'm looking at. I'm looking at the metric of time and tension, seconds. I'm also looking at proximity to failure. Now, I'm going to use more effort towards body parts which need more attention in terms of perhaps volume, perhaps frequency, perhaps progressive overload, intensity level, to build up those muscle groups that are weak points. If I have a strong point, for example, I've got 19-inch calves, which is quite big for a bodybuilder typically, I'm not going to be spending 4 or 5 days a week training calves. I do 1 set per week of calves. Now, if I've got a weak lats or upper back, it's going to be more sets, maybe more frequency. Then it's marrying together the 2 points between, in terms of amount of volume you do, the amount of intensity you do. Then what can you recover from? Get back in the gym and build muscle at a faster rate. So it's a whole different ball game in terms of like the typical 3 sets of 10, this body part, this body part, this body part on different days. It's a totally new approach to bodybuilding. And what I do, for example, in a given week would be something like, again, dependent on recovery, how well I'm fed, how much intensity I can put into a workout. Something like 6 to 10 sets total. There's nothing else added to that. 3 times per week. And the last week before a contest itself, I'm actually doing 2 sessions per week. And you might think, well, surely you do more as you get leaner and want to achieve more fat loss and whatever it is. No, you want to scale down your volume so you've got more recovery. So on the show day, you're not sore. So you feel good, you're less inflamed, you're less tired. Then you can perform your best on stage. In terms of like my exercise selection, it is very specific, it is very deliberate. I do use mostly resistance machines, nearly entirely. I'd say maybe, I don't know, 95% of what I do is with a resistance machine or a cable. I use movements which don't aggravate my spine and hips. I train to an intensity level that I feel is appropriate given my recovery capacity at that time. And I pay much more attention to the actual recovery element of bodybuilding rather than the training element. Because you're only as good as what you can recover from. Again, it goes back to the point as I mentioned just with Stephen earlier. I can create the perfect program for someone, but if they're not able to sustain it and keep doing it, they're going to hit a roadblock really, really fast. So, I kind of manage myself that way. And what a typical set might look like, and this is pretty much across the board, be something like, again, depends on what I'm doing at the time, what I want to achieve and how I feel, maybe 60 seconds to 120 total seconds of time and tension per set. Now you're thinking, 60 to 120, oh, that's quite a long time. Yeah, but the only reason I'm able to do that is because I'm getting to the point of technical muscular failure with every single set. So my 60-second set is probably more in terms of exercise effort or intensity, or however you want to sort of measure it, than most people's 3 or 4 sets. Because I'm taking it to the point I can no longer move the weight safely. So, for example, today I hit a bit of back and a bit of arms. So I do kind of like a legs pull push workout, so across 3 sessions per week. Today was something like a set of pull downs, set of rows, set of pull downs again, another set of rows, but I just used different equipment, so I got different angles and things. Then a set of biceps and a set of triceps, and that was it. That was my workout. It took me about an hour, but at the start and finish of all my workouts, I do some core work, and it's not intensive. It's not 20 sets of crunches. It's literally just lots of ab vacuum, stomach control kind of stuff, because that is my current bottleneck in bodybuilding, delivering my best package physique on stage, is my core control. When you're lying down because of CRPS in my spine, 20 hours per day, you lose a lot of your core control. But I cannot train it to a greater degree or capacity or frequency than what I already do. So there's always, like I said, there's always a bottleneck, and my bottleneck is that currently. But I aim to still improve over time. But that's pretty much my approach, Stephen. So I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, brilliant, really detailed. Well, I'm going to get to the questions because there's a lot of questions there and some comments. So, Nazia, great morning to you all, and we've got Ricard from Sweden saying hello and giving you the old bicep thing. A quick question. I don't want to spend too long on this because there's lots of other questions and comments. How to lower triglycerides? Question mark. I mean, I can do that.
I'll give my 2 cents, but
yeah, go for it.
I'll give my 2 cents, but you should throw your hat in as well, obviously, because this is your field. Triglycerides, in my opinion, it's a transient number. It'll go up and down based on what you're feeding, your body's capacity to recover at the current point in time, perhaps your stress levels, your diet itself will obviously impact your triglyceride levels. But it's, like I said, it's a transient number, so I'm not looking at that number thinking, oh, it's this today and next week it's that. It moves around, it's a snapshot, and it does alter, but doesn't necessarily meaningfully suggest that we have a certain long-term health outcome because of it. So it's not something I really look at. So as a coach, as Steve would know, like, we have a hierarchy of what we're looking at when we see a blood panel or a body composition scan, something like that, or video training analysis. We have an idea, okay, so have they reached this thing? So what's a key feature of an unhealthy person? High inflammation. Okay, let's measure our inflammation levels. Is that high? No. Okay, how do you feel? Oh, I'm sore. My knees are sore. Why is that? Is it your training? See, you have to have a very sort of holistic approach to these sort of things. And then the average person on the internet cannot look at 1 or 2 numbers and pick out what is wrong with someone or what is healthy about someone. But what's your opinion?
Well, I'm going to dial it really simply at first. Reducing sugars and refined carbohydrates, fruit juice, bread, pasta, cereals, all the normal things. Alcohol as well will lower it. When you get your test, make sure that you haven't just eaten. And I know that sounds obvious, but some people are still thinking, it doesn't matter if I have a bit of food. Yeah, it does make a difference. For some people, it doesn't make that much difference, but for others, it can make a huge difference. Strange enough, we had this conversation on Bart's thing last night where one of the commentators there was saying, well, I've had fasted and non-fasted and there wasn't that much difference. Well, that is a very individual result. I can assure you it's best to do it the same amount of fasting. And the other thing is also to be aware of how dynamic it is, as you said, Jonathan. Triglycerides aren't directly measured. They're measured. Glycerol is measured and then triglycerides are referred. So if you are burning, hate that expression, but if you're oxidizing fat, basically getting rid of body fat, at that moment you could see, even though you're getting leaner and you're actually getting thinner and your body composition is going the right way, you may see a little bump up in triglycerides and think, well, what am I doing wrong? And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that the test is not as nuanced as you'd like. So yeah, good little question. Rick in the house. Congratulations, Jonathan. Now, you do a great show with Rick, don't you?
Yeah, so we started doing it a long time ago, but I've obviously had to drop off, and I don't have the endurance that young gentleman has. So I try to sort of tag in when I feel up to it. My day's free. Usually my weekends are free with, busy with family stuff, gym workouts, and client stuff. So I can't always make it in on a Saturday. But yeah, we do host a really good show. It's his show, to be honest, but I'm often on it. It's on a Saturday, live at 8 with Rick. You can find it on both of our channels when we stream it. So that works out something like 1 p.m. UK time every Saturday. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's a fun place to be. It's a carnivore-ish kind of chat, but a lot of the chat in it isn't really carnivore. But I guarantee if someone watches a full episode of that, they'll pick up knowledge they never thought they'd need. And I do every time. So I'm grateful that Rick shares that opportunity of me to sort of chat with him, and I learn stuff, and other people learn stuff, and sometimes we answer carnivore questions, sometimes we don't. So. And
you get to meet Milton as well.
Yeah.
Rick is currently listening while installing air conditioners. Sorry, yeah. Just sleep and slim down journey. Hey, Stephen and Jonathan. Hi to everyone.
It's Joe.
Oh, it's Joe. Do I always get that wrong? Yeah. Joe's sleeping and slim down journey. Right, I'll get that right.
Everyone does.
I think it's the way it's written. Anyway, Nazir is saying, respected sir, as per Anthony Chafing, fasting is meaningless in the carnivore diet because this diet is the primary metabolic stage of autophagy and ketones. What is your opinion on fasting and carnivore? I don't think it's meaningless at all. I think it's an amazing tool to have personally. But do you want to dive in as it's your show, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with both of you. I think, but by default of being carnivorous and high fat, low or zero carbohydrate, yeah, it's going to have a great deal of mitophagy, better mitochondrial efficiency through deuterium depletion, lots of other things like that, reduction of seed oils, which are very high in deuterium. Deuterium is a heavy isotope of hydrogen, by the way. So basically, the water that we take in, so everything we take in that has water in it, basically, will have a heavy isotope water and a light isotope water. The more mass that goes through the mitochondria, I'm talking very simple terms here, the more mass that goes through, the less efficient it is for mitochondria to spin, so the actual ATPase within the mitochondria spin, to produce ATP downstream. The less efficient they are, the more toxicity, the more, oxidation that might occur throughout the rest of the body, and the lesser ability to execute the genetic makeup of the human body, which means that our body's not be running at full pelt in terms of like immune function, clearing inflammation, reducing stress, elevated cortisol levels, things like that. In terms of what you said, Stephen, yeah, it's a very useful tool. So it's almost like they're stackable. But I'd say if someone was to say, "Oh, what should I do?" These hypothetical questions that don't really apply to any human being ever. But what should I do? Should I do carnivore diet or should I do fasting? I'd say most people would get the most benefit doing the carnivore diet. And then fasting, like you said, is a very, very, very useful tool. Doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. Not everyone needs to do it. I don't know many carnivores that do deliberately fast all the time. But it might be something they use like every month or so, or one day a week they might miss a meal. So yeah, they both work, I think. Certainly.
Yeah, and I know what Anthony's getting at there, because you have autophagy going on all the time in this way of eating, but definitely gives you a kickstart if you are worried about your body composition. It will lower your insulin, obviously. It will increase your ketones naturally, make you more alert, give you more energy. I think there's many benefits to fasting, actually. I'm currently fasting now. So in an hour's time, I'll be 48 hours.
You've got a program at the moment.
Yeah. I've got 8 people involved in it, a little private group where everyone wanted to do it, and the results have been amazing, absolutely amazing. They're all really happy. Energy's good. It can do such a lot. We're not looking at therapeutic fasting, but if you get into therapeutic fasting as well, remission of cancers and stuff like that, it's absolutely amazing. So. But I can also understand somebody saying, well, if you're strict carnivore, probably after 6-7 years of strict carnivore, fasting will be less of an impact, but I still think it's valuable.
Yeah. That's another point we touched on without even going into it, is like the community social aspect of these some groups. I'm not a fan of most groups, as people know me, but yeah, I mean, having a group of people that do the same thing as you, like having a family household that are doing the same thing as you, makes things much more bearable, much more easier, because you hold yourself more accountable, share ideas, share different tips and hints and things, different cues you might do. Makes it more fun. You know, there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, and you've got one person it's taken off of, sort of taking them away from their cravings because they're concentrating on something else. And I've said this about dry fasting, for instance. Dry fasting, I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying, if you dry fast, your brain switches, and instead of being in a fast where you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll have some cheese or a little bit of this, you're actually thinking, I'd love a glass of water. So that's not a bad situation to be in, where you're actually craving a little bit of water. But anyway, Mark Harmon is listening now. Good. Thank you very much, Mark. Joe's Sleep and Slim Down journey. Got it right this time. Hi, Rick. You've been very busy this week. You have, actually. She's sending love. Let's go into this plug here. Nightbot. Booking for an affordable email or online video consultation. I'm here to help at www.carnivore-muscle.com/consultation. Yes. Good advice.
Highly recommended.
Yes. Nightbot. As a carnivore, here's a question from Joe. As a carnivore, what do you at backstage?
What do you do at backstage competition?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So let's assume I'm already tanned up. I've registered on the day. I've got my. I don't know. I'll bring my trunks over, but they're well over there. You wear your own trunks. You got your tan on. You're given like a little number. It's just a number on a, like those little birthday celebration things. What do you call it? A pin. It'll just say mine was number 3, for example. And if you attach that to your left side of your trunks, you've registered on the day, then you'll get another the top coat. It's called in bodybuilding. So that's the darkest coat, which is the most susceptible to come off. So they apply that last before you go on stage, because obviously otherwise you lose it if you go to bed at night and you sleep funny and stuff like that. What you do is essentially you're in a tent, like those tanning tents. There might be, 10, 20 male competitors around you. What you do is you get a sock from your foot, you envelop it over your manhood as to not get that spray tanned. Then you go in the tent, they spray you down. Some lovely lady sprays you down, great. You come out all dark and shimmery and you look like 10 shades darker. And what you do is just wait until your turn to go up on stage, and they'll have it in different categories. In terms of like food, I guess that's related to the common question. I just eat little, just pick at food. So you don't really have meals, because you want to know the moment that you start to get bloated is when you back off the food. So by the time you hit the stage, you're as full as your muscles can be, because you've digested all the food prior to it. You're not hungry, your stomach's not sore, you're not overly dehydrated, so you've got energy and electrolytes in your system to pump your muscles up and stuff. It's a very individual thing. There's not a template for everyone at all. If you're not sure, just do the same thing you usually do every day, but try to drink a little bit less so you're not bloated, basically. Other than that, food choices, some people do. I say some people, I don't really know, because I don't know many carnivore bodybuilders, but what I do is I get like the pemmican beef bars, beef fat, dried beef and salt. I eat them, they go down easily, easy to chew, high energy density, low volume, so your stomach doesn't swell up too much. Then just eat that. That's effectively what I do.
Brilliant. That's a good answer. I've only done one bodybuilding show, so I can't really speak, because it was a long time ago, and I was so excited about doing it. I couldn't even tell you what I did backstage. I just remember doing the show.
I don't even think. When you start,
Nazia is saying, I am taking 25 eggs and 500 grams of fish with beef tallow fry to maintain my budget. Not chicken now. Is it okay, Stephen, sir? Please help me. Do you know Nazia?
I don't know Nazia. No.
All right. 25 eggs in a day is a lot. I'm wondering if that's a typo, or is it 2 to 5 eggs? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, if you're eating fish and eggs, people can do carnivore that way. I mean, that's one of the things that gets my goat a little bit, is carnivore is many things to many people. Some people do it with fish and fowl, some what it's called, fish and chicken and fish and duck and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that sounds okay to me. I'm always happy with variants because I think people's palate changes, and you might get fed up with that within about 3 to 4 months. But yeah, you're going to get everything you need there. Many people push beef. I prefer lamb, a better amino acid profile, and it tastes better, I think. So yeah, that sounds good to me. But I definitely wouldn't mind clarification on whether it's 2 to 5 eggs or 25 eggs, because 25 is a lot. I mean, not bad. Depends also what your goal is. If you're bodybuilding, then you're probably going to be all right with 25 eggs. But anyway, right. We've got a fabulous fellow next. Here we are.
Andrew
Scarborough, yes. And he's got a question, which is a two-parter. Congratulations, Jonathan. Question: what do you think of the NordStick device for doing Nordic cores at home? I'm trying to strengthen my hamstrings and whole posterior chain as much as possible.
Good question. I just want to really quickly say back to the last question.
About the eggs.
Two most obvious limitations. The two most obvious limitations I can think from a very narrowed down nutritionist perspective is that the iron found in eggs is not heme iron.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're having 25, you'll probably get enough iron. Fine, great. You're probably a great sulfur detoxifier, which is good if you're tolerating 25 eggs a day. Fish has a lot of type 2 collagen, but not much type 1 and 3. So you may find that your skin becomes a bit dry, a bit thin. We're talking over a period of like weeks and months here, not doing fish and eggs for a week or two. But you may notice a difference in your skin texture and skin quality, maybe for the worse. But fish is useful. I am an advocate of fish in a carnivore diet for sure. Selenium, more taurine, omega-3 probably. Some B12 in it, some like trace minerals. So yeah, that's the only nuanced thing I'd say. But in regards to like the NordStick that Andrew said, I think it's a very useful tool. I think Nordic curls are really functional and practical exercise to do. I really like the idea of it. It means you can load the hamstrings efficiently without actually using most equipment, as long as you've got somewhere to anchor your heels. Be careful with your knees, so you want to have like a knee pad or something.
Yeah, you're loading your knees up, aren't you? Transferring, yeah.
Yeah, so be careful with the knees. But if I was in a position where I didn't have a gym, and I had the equipment to do that, I'd certainly be using that kind of exercise.
And running backwards is a good thing to do for hamstrings and posterior chain. Paul, hi guys. Look at this. It's Lee's mum, Anne Copus. Hi, lovely to see you both. It's always good to see you, Anne. Have you frozen, Jonathan? No, okay. I thought your picture had frozen for a minute there. Joe, Carnivore Muscle, you know how much I adore your calves.
Thanks very much.
Patricia is, hi, Jonathan.
Hello.
Let's have a look. Nightbot, please hit like, leave a comment after the video, and subscribe to help give my video a boost. That's that. Patricia saying hi to me.
Almost.
Another plug for your consultation from the Nightbot.
Things off.
Oh, I know, mate. And Jill here is saying congratulations.
Hello, thanks, Jill.
That emoji I always misread as 2 jellyfish. But anyway.
I can't even see it. Hold on.
Well, exactly.
I think it's like 2 celebration.
Yeah, with streamers,
like party popper sort of streamer things.
Yeah, or even triglycerides. Anyway, for some, fasting is not well tolerated. Absolutely, I pushed myself too fast for 5 years regularly, and that wasn't good for me. And it was always occupied by a lot of discomfort and hair loss. Yeah, that's exactly why I did this group, actually, because you can overdo fasting. You know, it's really weird because we get both ends of the spectrum. I think Jonathan might echo this as well, is the banes of our life as coaches is under eating, so you're actually eating but not eating enough, and over fasting. But I think if you're eating plenty, there's definitely a room for a bit of fasting to cure many different things. For instance, like I say, cravings, if you want to bring your insulin down, if you want a little boost in your body composition, just reset yourself, have a reboot. I think it's a very good thing. But you're absolutely right. People over fast, and that's thank you. Right. I've been Carnivore for 10 years now, but have been doing OMAD for the last 4 years. My metabolic health was in dire straits for many years and needed all the help it could get. You see, now OMAD, some people would say that is 23 hours of fasting. It is depends how you're looking at it, and most people do OMAD do eat a lot of food. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that worked for you, Joe.
Joe's a warrior.
A warrior, okay.
He's a warrior.
Andrew Scarborough, the sock makes it look bigger too.
If you have big feet. Mine like nearing size 13, Stephen.
Good point. That's a very good point. If you put a pop sock on there, you're going to look like a button mushroom. Anyway, right.
That's it.
Thank goodness for socks. Yes, right. Question for you here. What is your protocol to really shred down body fat, and how do you adjust the leaner you get? That's a really good question.
That's a really good question, yeah. So my approach is the same that it's always been. And it's something I realised before I even really understood it. You eat less fat, your body holds less fat. People say, oh, but cortisol rises, you need fat for energy. Well, if you're 20% body fat, you just might feel a bit rubbish while you're trying to reduce your body fat at a faster rate on a low-fat diet. Typically, my contest preps are about 8 weeks long, give or take. I stay very lean in the off-season, so my drasticness of dietary approach is a lot less than most people. Apart from the last 2 weeks, I really try to nail it hard. So I'm essentially just eating like chicken drumstick fillets, skinless, boneless, and lean 95% beef mince. It does work. The problem is when you get leaner, your recovery capacity diminishes, sleep can reduce, cortisol can rise. You're in a perfect position to lose muscle at that point. So you need to sort of be careful about. That's when things become more important, where you ask like, oh, when should I train? What meal timing should I do? How important is it that you turn your phone off at night? Is red light therapy? All these things become more useful when your body's in a under-recovered, under-fed state. Now, if you're 20% body fat as a male, you've got excess body fat to lose. You don't need to be doing extra. You don't need to all of a sudden do 4-day fasts to drop it. Your approach should be incremental, phased, in a chronological fashion. Say, to get from here to here, I only need that jump. To get from here to here, that jump. And as you get leaner and leaner and leaner as your body progresses down the body fat percentage chain, as you can say, you might need bigger drops in fat intake. You have to make sure you're taking enough protein to maintain the muscle that you have. And your protein intake is, your overall body weight is going to be what impacts your leptin signaling the most, which impacts your thyroid hormone output. Now, if you go from, let's use arbitrary numbers, say 200 protein a day, 200 fat per day. Then you say, right, I want to drop down to 15% body fat from 20. Say you're going to give yourself, I don't know, so that's 5 kilos, I don't know. 5 kilos, you're looking at dropping about 0.5 to 1% of your total body weight per week in a diet. The more fat you have in your body, the more percentage you can afford to lose without losing muscle. So that way you've got a goal to sort of track, an objective to set each week. Now, you want to be able to sort of work out how much fat you need to drop each week to still get that same fat loss benefit, whilst also being able to still recover, still be able to train, having enough energy in the gym to continue to train and to build muscle, maintain muscle, and lose body fat. So it's not a system. There's a systematic approach, but the approach is not the same for everyone. So the drops percentages might be different from going from 20 to 15 versus 15 to 10% body fat. So that's effectively it. So you set your protein based on your body weight, or what you've been doing ideally in the off season to build muscle. But the fat is the first and major and most important part of any diet intervention to lose body fat in all instances. Far above fasting, far above dairy intake, far above eggs, any of these so-called fat gaining demons that I don't believe exist to the degree that people say they do. So that's what we'll be looking at first. Obviously, the leaner you get, the more you want to refine your diets, the more key, core, tried and tested carnivore foods. So like Stephen said earlier, you're going to be eating more of like the ruminant meat, because you know it's going to give you all the nutrients your body needs. If you're, say, cutting out all the fat from, I don't know, the ruminant meat, so all the saturated fat, things for cholesterol to build, you know, the hormones and things like that, but then you're using that, I don't know, tallow that's dripped off your beef, deducting that from your diet, then you're adding in MCT powders, it's not going to give you the same outcome. Yes, MCT powders are useful and they do convert to ketones at a greater capacity and speed through the portal vein, but you still want to get the mainstay of your diet. So when I create a diet for someone, this is your meat intake. That does not reduce under any circumstance. Maybe it gets leaner, so maybe it starts 85% fat, maybe get down to 95%, whatever it happens to be. But you have to make sure you get your potassium, iron, B12, all these things which can become depleted as you lose body fat. Insulin circulating goes down, the storage hormones go down, which means you can feel more flaky in the gym. So you have to have your mainstay diet being just a random figure, I guess, with a bit of assumption, is about 70% meat as a minimum. Then the rest is fish, eggs, dairy, whatever organs, whatever you like and tolerate and enjoy, basically. I think that kind of goes into it in regards to the protocol in terms of diet. The training remains the same. You want to maintain the best training capacity and performance that you can possibly hold to hold the muscle that you built up during the off-season phase. In terms of recovery, you have, like I said earlier, you have to be much more tighter in your recovery. You're not going to get the results you want thinking, oh, well, if I just do a protein sparing modified fast, but then don't sleep ever, or sleep like 1 hour a night, you're better off almost eating a bit more food so you can sleep better, so you can perform better and recover better, so you continue to lose body fat at an extended rate. So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
Well, yeah, that's brilliant. Very full and thorough answer, which is great. WD25A afternoon all. Congratulations to Jonathan, who's got his pro card, as you can see behind him. I recommend fasting if you have a short stay in a UK NHS hospital. It's the safest way. They were brilliant, but the NHS patient catering, oh dear, yes. That's a very good point. A very, very good point. A nice question again for you, Jonathan. What would you say is the optimal allergy/histamine minimizing version of carnivore? I used to eat 18 eggs and 500 grams of beef every day, but recently some eczema has come back.
Yeah, I think when it comes to high histamine foods, the lower the processing, the lower the age of the meat, the less histamine it will have. Therefore, you essentially free up that pool of histamine tolerance that you might have. Things like eggs, things which are rich in choline, folate, B12. I think they probably said that in this. Mm-hmm. But that's what they probably would allude to. They can help reduce elevated homocysteine levels, and essentially want to give your body, or reduce the body's toxic overburden of histamine that it contains within it. So that means you're doing any kind of vagal nerve stimulation, breath work. My friend DC Rebuilding from Australia actually recommends, which is highly useful. Anything deuterium depleting, so saunas, ice baths, anything which just basically stress your body out to a hormetic degree, but doesn't overstress it in essence. So that way your mitochondria are firing more efficiently or spinning more efficiently. You can then create, like I said earlier, more energy, more ATP to allow your genetic blueprint to execute itself to the fullest capacity. And just to think, like, would we be put on this earth and survive all these years with our genetic makeup as it is right now if we were like intolerant to beef because it was left out on a carcass by some vulture for like an extra day? There's something in our environment that's adulterating our food in terms of maybe the food system, how it's created, the food quality itself, and also the damage we might have done to ourselves through our previous diet before carnivore. So that's my take in terms of like a broad outlook, but you might be able to expand a bit on the biochemistry maybe.
Well, actually, I was going to pick up on what you said about the environment, because it can be other things as well. Simple things like the soap you're using, the washing powders. It could be mold in your house. Not getting out in the sunlight. All of those things are going to give you an environment where the histamine is going to be less problematic. Obviously, the fresher the meat, the better. No aged cheeses and all that. Yeah, but you could look at some organ meat as well, kidney. There's loads of different ways to look at it, but hopefully that's enough to be getting on with. I'm just very aware of your time, Jonathan. And anyway, so Terry says just got free from work.
I'm good for time.
Oh no, but I've got to shoot off at 5. I've got my fasting cohort at 5. Looking forward to listening, and I wanted to get to these questions because people have come to get your expertise. So saturinations. Do you recommend beta hydroxybutyrate when dieting down for added energy? Also, what would you say is the bare minimum workouts you can do to maintain muscle when in a deficit, low energy? Is there? Sorry.
I'd say the appropriate term would be low food. I think we're always trying to use like a funny word to sort of say, I'm eating less food than what I was before. Not calories, not energy. We're looking at the outside of the equation. We can't measure that. We can measure the food coming in, so the fat and protein. Yeah. I know you know this, Stephen, but I'm just expanding. For anyone that's wondering what I'm on about, what Stephen says about it, we're talking about comparing the energy balance theory to the mass balance model. If we're looking at body composition outcomes long term, we're looking at the mass of food that we're taking in and not the energy of food that's measured in a bomb calorimeter. Or how much calories it takes to burn. The unit of energy is calories it takes to burn 1 milliliter of water by 1 degree Celsius. Something, whatever. Yes. You know what I'm saying, but in terms of this beta hydroxybutyrate, yes, it is useful, but only when you're leaner. Or if you're looking for like a snack and you're an endurance athlete doing a 50-mile race, those things are much more useful. If you're sat there and at home now, you're 20% body fat, and you're looking to lose get down to 15%, you're not really going to get anything much from it, other than maybe some extra electrolytes from it. You might feel a bit more cognitively stimulated, maybe a bit clearer focus. In terms of like energy production, it doesn't matter too much where the substrate comes from. Ideally pick cleaner substrates, so saturated animal fats, I would say polyunsaturated fats, but omega-3 in that context doesn't actually really get used as energy. Actually, the reason why I say that is because if you look at studies where they've added in omega-3, people lose fat and they gain muscle when they add it into their diet. So it's not always a mass balance model thing. So not every nutrient we take in has an exact gram for gram gain or loss. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yep. Ribeye Rob is saying hello. Congratulations, Jonathan. I want to make sure that we get to all the people congratulating you. So I'll just take a break from the questions. Congratulations from Anne.
Thank you,
Bacon Anne. Runner is saying hi, Jonathan.
Thank you, Donna.
Sandy Blee. Yeah, okay.
These are my locals, Stephen.
Oh, these are all your locals. Excellent. Okay. Joe is saying, here's the link to DC Health Rebuilding for his breathwork protocols. Thank you very much.
Check him out.
If it's not on the screen long enough, just freeze the screen and take a screenshot. I hope my phone spelled your name right. If not, my sincere apologies. That's okay. And
someone got ripped into royally this morning for doing that.
Oh, right. Oh, right. Okay.
But they deserved it. They really deserved it.
Yeah. Yes. Wasn't me, was it? Right. Anyway, Stags Master, to lower my elevated homocysteine, do I add more eggs and lamb liver? My folate and B6 are low, but in range, and B12 is very good. My blood test trend says B12 going up, folate dropping, B6 is stagnant.
That's a good question. This is very much your field of expertise. But I'll say whenever you have these, low numbers, but other numbers are going up, is there some imbalance there? Are you adding a supplement of some kind? And most carnivores use supplements, I'm afraid. So if you're taking in a sugar-free Red Bull, B12 is going to go up. If you're eating a load of lamb liver, but you're not having eggs, for example, you've got different. This isn't my expertise, to be honest, but you've got different vitamins and minerals vitamins, I guess, that can sort of co-factor together and stuff. So some people will be like, oh yeah, I eat, a kilo of lamb. They might eat a kilo of lamb every week, but they eat like 2 eggs. Well, there could be an imbalance there, and some people just don't have that tolerability to have massive shifts in one B vitamin versus another B vitamin. What's your take? I mean, my folate level, Stephen, has never been within normal range. It's always been like low normal or low.
Well, yeah. I mean, my first question would be to Stags Master. How do you feel? I mean, are you seeing a drop off in any way? Is the effect of what these numbers are telling you actually happening? Because I don't think we should be gaming numbers. We should be reversing all of this. We should only be looking at numbers if there's a problem and using it as diagnostic, because you could have taken that test an hour later or an hour earlier and had slightly different numbers.
Sure, we see that a lot.
Yeah, I do see that a lot. And the lower folate, the best thing you can do is firstly ruminate on just what is the effect of the numbers, and secondly, you could look at a separate test called the methylmalonic acid test, which all these things, all bloods are what's in the serum, what's in the blood, but it doesn't tell you what's being delivered to the cell. And if you do an MMA test, that will tell you a lot more about the usage of B12 and what's going on in the tissue rather than what's going on in the blood. If there is an effect, if you are having a problem. I would also look at your hydration, because all of these are concentrations. So if you imagine a tube, just to get the really basically across, and you put a pinch of salt in the bottom and then you fill it up with water, the concentration of that fluid is, it's very diluted. Whereas if you then spilled out half of the water but left the same amount of salt, the concentration level of salt is higher, but the actual amount of salt is the same. So I think that's the other thing I would look at. So the easiest way to do that is to start monitoring your urine. So if you gave this test, if you had this test, it could be a few things are being artificially high or artificially low. But obviously you have got some things where something's gone elevated and something's dropped. So hydration would only be one element of that particular equation. So let's say you were dehydrated, that could account for the elevated homocysteine, but it wouldn't account for the folate. But what it would actually possibly indicate is that folate is a false reading and it's actually lower. The ratios are actually a little bit lower. So there's a lot more to it. So I'd like to see the whole bloods, to be honest, with all the CBC as well, because then you can get into what are we actually looking at. And sadly, things like the sedimentation rate, is nobody does it anymore, but that was a really good marker. But the good question. I am going to have to call it a day, and I wanted to wrap up by congratulating you again, Jonathan, because it's a big deal, isn't it, what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the first person to do it legitimately on a carnivore diet.
Hmm.
And no one can take that from me. My perspective living with disability is that for a lot of people it's like it's a trophy, it's a plastic cup, it's a medal, piece of cardboard, whatever. But I will always have that. I'll always remember that.
Mm.
The only people that will be naysayers are people that won't have that, will never have that. I worked hard and I earned it. I deserved it. And I just hope that my sort of story can inspire people and they can use it as fuel for themselves. So Jonathan did it. What's my excuse, you know? So I'm not special. I'm not a genetic anomaly. I'm not someone that's, you know, miles ahead of everyone else. I'm just like everyone else. I just live with a strange condition. And thanks very much, Stephen, of course, for having me on. And I want to say, honestly, I don't, you know, I there's very few people in the carnivore space I'll recommend follow, listen to, that put out the right information, give out good analogies. They care about their audience. They care about putting out the right stuff. So this man is one of them. Along with other people, you know, Bart Kay, Harris Panos, Richard Smith, DC Rebuilding. There's probably a handful of others. But if you stay with these people, listen to them over the years, take in their information, they're all experts in their relative field, and some of them have a lot of crossover. You'll be in your best health possible. But obviously, if you want direct sort of specific advice, booking consultations with them, you won't be disappointed because they take their stuff seriously. They care about what they do. They're always on top of their field, and that's what makes a good educator, in my opinion.
It's nice that you mentioned Harry there, because I think Harry has been away from YouTube for a little bit, obviously, you know, with the family issues, but it's really great to have him back and doing regular videos. It's nice to see him, and he was even on Bart's show, so I think, yeah, it's good. It's good to see Harry again, I think, very much so. If you haven't checked out Harry Sopanos, he definitely deserves a lot more views. He's really on top of his game, I think. So anyway, Jonathan.
Harry is a genius.
He is.
I'll let you go.
He is a genius. No, he is, and I absolutely believe that. I think, well, I think you're keeping your light under your bushel. You do know a lot more than you let on. But
people just got to ask me the questions. I'm like you, Stephen. I'll find the answer.
Yes, if you don't know, you definitely look it up. Yeah, and that's how we keep ahead of the game. And I think you're the same as me. I think when you realise you learn something new, you think, oh wow, there's now another 10 things I didn't know. So I've got to find out about that as well. So
the layers.
It's layers. Yeah. Okay, mate. Oh, well, it was good to have you on, and thanks everyone on Jonathan's channel for listening, and hope you enjoyed it. I'll end the stream now.